There's certainly no quit in this Lady Vol basketball team. They showcased a ton of resiliency against Vanderbilt, and it's something that Kim Caldwell would like to highlight, but she's over it because it's coming after inconsistent play. Tennessee has really struggled to put together 4 strong quarters this season, and because of that, they're having to rely on their resiliency, and she's kind of tired of it. That brings me to my 3 points following this upset loss to the Vanderbilt Commodores, a 71-70 loss. The 3rd time this season, the Lady Vols lose a 1-possession game inside SEC play. They had a chance late to get the win against Vanderbilt, but they weren't able to pull it off after a jump ball and a foul, and they get to the free throw line. And then you get to the inconsistency where they were doing so well this game. The main reason this game stayed close is because Tennessee limited Vanderbilt's second chance points. They were fantastic on the defensive glass, and that's exactly where Vanderbilt capitalized on that final play with the putback as the ball just falls right off the rim, right into the hands, I believe, of number 12 to get that putback. Maybe Z Spearman could have been closer to the area, or some other orange body could have been closer in the post to try and grab the offensive or defensive rebound, but they simply weren't there. It took back-to-back 3-pointers by Jewel Spear late in the game to make it 57-57. They had the lead briefly in this game, not able to hold on to it. A lot of that comes down to what we saw in the whistles from the refs. I'll get to my 2nd point in just a moment, but a little bit more on the inconsistent play. Kim Caldwell says we cannot continue to do that. We have got to string together more consistent practices, and she believes if they can do that, then maybe they'll get more consistent play on the court. She says we just cannot continue to take quarters off. We can't continue to take plays off, and eventually that ended up being what cost them. To my 2nd point, when it comes to the fouls. So Vanderbilt had more points off of their free throws than Tennessee had attempts. They had 19 points off of their free throws. Tennessee was 12 of 15. A lot of that seemed a little bit like ticky-tacky calls. Specifically, one that sticks out to me most is Kanaya Boyd, where you're trying to implement that pressure defense. There was very soft contact. She gets the whistle. Does not make sense why you call that when you're a team, especially too. It disrupts your rhythm when you're trying to be a pressure defense team. They essentially were calling everything. There were a couple of other times this season where teams had, 22, 24 attempts. So sometimes Tennessee is a high fouling team. Today it seemed incredibly lopsided, or the refs just weren't seeing the game as clearly as they should. And it was incredibly crucial for Vanderbilt in the 3rd quarter. They had 9 points off of free throws. They had 8 points off of their field goal attempts. That's absolutely what kept them in this game. But what really kept Vanderbilt in the game was my 3rd point. The 2nd quarter for Tennessee kind of bleeds into the 1st point on inconsistent play. 5 points in the 2nd quarter. That is the lowest this season. Their next one was 12 points in the 3rd quarter against FSU. This comes off the back end of Talaysia Cooper absolutely lighting up the scoreboard in the 1st quarter, and then went totally dormant in the 2nd quarter. She helped bring the team back late in the games as well, but this team typically struggles a lot in the 3rd quarter. But where they struggle most is finding some quarter to take off. I asked Jewel Spear earlier, I said, Coach Kim Caldwell mentioned the other week that she wants these wins for the seniors. She doesn't want these, 1-2 point losses. Does that need to be different messaging from you? And she says it really is tough, and it hurts a lot to have these types of losses. She says a lot of it is she thinks they have to understand their roles a little bit better. She even highlighted how she missed a ton of her shots early in the 1st quarter. So instead of just trying to continue to fire off shots, she needs to do a better job of getting downhill. And that's the main thing. This team has got to do a better job of understanding their roles in the team, and maybe when the shots aren't going the way that they want them to, they have to find other ways to contribute. We saw Z Spearman contribute a lot on the glass today for Tennessee when it comes to the rebounds, but Tennessee has got to find a way to be consistent. That's the main message from Kim Caldwell. She doesn't really care about the flowery angles. It seems like that they tried really hard. They're fighting really hard. They've got to find a way to get out of their own way if they want to be able to compete around the corner when you have Texas, South Carolina, and UConn coming up, playing the way that they did today against what should be an inferior Vanderbilt team. It will be ugly come the rest of January into February. They've got to find a way to not take plays off. Again, that 1st quarter really went their way, and they kind of, really got in their way after that where shots weren't going their way. That's my 3 points following this really heartbreaking loss for Tennessee, as the Vols and Lady Vols did not fare well here in the Music City. I'll have more on a post-game report later in the week too, as they get ready for what's coming up down the pike as well. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on anything else that's coming up. I will be back in Knoxville later this week again with more on the Tennessee Vols and Lady Vols, especially following this loss for the Lady Vols. Keeping up with Tennessee Vols and Lady Vols basketball is a lot of work and a lot of fun, but driving in a Harper Volkswagen Tiguan makes it that much more enjoyable. See VFL Chris Brown for the latest on their most popular SUV. Their 2024 SER line black Tiguan has 0% financing for 60 months, and it comes with an 8-year unlimited miles powertrain warranty.